Hey guys, and welcome to another video. I'm wanting to do something different today. So I decided to kind of upload my stream from Twitch, but do it in a different way. So today we have a speed build with commentary. I'm hoping you'll enjoy it. If you do, please leave a comment or something like that. Tell me if this is something you would appreciate in the future. But yeah, let's get started. So we're playing Planet Zoo, and we're looking at the Australia pack today. And first, I'm kind of, getting a kind of basic structure out for how the park's going to look. But as we all know, this isn't going to go easily because A, it's me, and B, Planet Zoo's paths aren't the best. I mean, I think this is a very common issue for a lot of people. There's some really good people out there who this doesn't even phase, but for me, I just haven't got the eye for it. Like, not instantly, so as you'll see in a moment, I realise that this is slightly off, so I'm getting rid of that and trying a few times to get it right. We eventually do, luckily, but it takes a bit and a lot of patience, which I have very little of, so as you can imagine, it didn't go too well on stream. But yeah, so now we're going to add some flowers, and I used to use these and I didn't like them, so we decided to look at other plants, and we ended up with this, which I think looked nice in the end. It kind of gave a little bit of colour to this environment. I mean, I know it's meant to be Australia, but the grasslands were just slightly kind of monotone. I thought, we'll spruce it up slightly. We'll give it some colour. And yeah, I think it turned out quite nice. And then we mirror that on the other side with some poor object placement there from me. But yeah, this was fairly straightforward, luckily, compared to like previous attempts. So that's good. Usually I find it very hard to kind of find the energy to start a park because I always want a nice entrance, but I find it so very hard to make one that I almost get this kind of, not anxiety, but I almost get this kind of dread of starting a zoo. So here we're doing the Zookeeper Area. This is nothing particularly fancy. I kind of just went for the pre-built ones, like the prefabs, because I'm not particularly good at like creating these types of buildings. Like Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo are really good for giving you the tools to make your own buildings and kind of customize your park, and that's great. Don't get me wrong, I'm really an advocate of that, but I'm just not one for it. Like if there was a few more like, hey, these are pre-built ones, that would be great for me. Maybe there are later in the game, but admittedly I don't get that far because I usually play for a few hours and then start again because I'm that type of person. But yeah, we got these down, and then I think we're going to start looking at our first enclosure in a second, but not before putting some workers in to make sure the park runs great. Yeah, so here we go. We're going to start doing this first enclosure here, and I think at first we were looking at actually getting one of the Australian animals. I think we went for a koala. Yeah, but it turns out they were really expensive, so we decided against that, and we went for an aardvark just to get us off the ground. Obviously, that isn't a Australian creature, but I thought, if we want to get started with the park, we have to kind of go for something that's kind of reachable. So we started with an aardvark. And then we have issues with the fence here, and then luckily, quite quickly, again, we get this done, which I was quite surprised by, honestly. Yeah, putting the door in, and then I wanted to actually lower this because I thought we could have that kind of like a more intimate approach to the animal, with it being something really small and kind of, it's a herbivore. But later on, they actually got stressed by this, so yeah, later on we end up putting this back up. But it was nice to try. I should have probably maybe done half and half. Had a higher fence on one side and a lower on the other, just to kind of give them some shelter. But it didn't really dawn on me at that point. We're going to put a shelter in for them right now, and we kind of did some terrain work just before to kind of give them a little bit more of diversity in their enclosure. I'm not particularly great with the landscape tool either, so that's why you won't see any just yet. I'm probably going to try and be better with it soon enough, but not yet. So yeah, we just started some research for them, and then we're getting a male, because we want to have these as a breeding pair. And I think we're going to move on to a communal area in a second. Or I might be jumping the gun. No, we're gonna get some grass in here and kind of try and... I tried to blend. I did poorly. But, you know, we tried. That's the main thing. And then we're just checking their potential for mating. Yep. And then, yep, we were following one round for a bit. Just talking about the animal models in this game and how great they look. You know, I think that's one thing that this game does really well. Yeah, so we're trying to make a communal area over the other side, and I kept missing the align to grid option and doing it wrong. I didn't understand why it wasn't working, and obviously I realized later on that I was doing it entirely wrong. But yeah, I mistook what I was doing for a bit there, and I think I actually even logged out the game at one point because I thought it was bugged, but obviously it was clearly me, which is just so typical of me. A poor workman blames his tools. But yeah, we get there in the end, and we make a kind of a decent area to work with. Yeah, we're still working with it. Still can't understand what's going wrong. Any second now. Any second now. Yeah, I think I'm literally communicating this with the audience right now. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm doing really poorly at it. And I'm deleting path because I literally just hit buttons when I don't know what to do. Right, yep, there we go. Leaving, rejoining. Let's see if it works now. Oh, yeah, it does. But obviously, you know, that was just a fluke. In fact, I should have just done it that way to begin with. Yeah, so there's that. And that little gap I ended up putting flowers in because I just didn't want it to be like open like that. It looked a bit bad, even though it just didn't look too good leaving it open like that. So now we're messing on with bathrooms for a while here. Admittedly, I got carried away and I was kind of like, oh well, how can I get these perfectly lined up? Because again, that's me, and I'm just so typically about that. But yeah, and then the issue is as well was as I was moving them, the path was straight, and well, not straightening. The straight corners were being removed and placed with curves every time I was moving them, and which wasn't obviously great for me. On the advox there again, and then we move back over. Like it's almost like a reset. Like I needed to move away before I could come back. I mean, I know they look pretty much spot on, but if you look, I found it kind of slightly off, so I kind of had to keep going back. But we got there. And then we realised we were kind of running out of money and that people weren't really happy to just come and see aardvarks, so we asked for some donations. And then I started working on benches, but I found that these kind of like table benches, were just too hard to kind of put in straight away, and I was getting kind of frustrated again, as is typical of me. So I instead tried the normal benches, and just as they snap to the side of paths, I kind of just put them right on the edge. I probably should have removed like every other one, but I kind of just left it as is because I was kind of getting frustrated at that point. Put some bins in. Yeah, so here we are with the benches again. It's kind of It's kind of trial and error, to be honest, trying to find a way to best kind of eyeball it. And I kind of found a solution at the end. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't too bad either. It was worth it for the way it looked in the end. If I could kind of have a snap to grid feature, like I'd kill for that, just because I can't see things that well to kind of place them, and they will be slightly off, typically knowing me. So yeah, so these guys are getting stressed, so we finally move it up. And we put in some windows instead, which basically put them back to normal. So that was good. Just doing some research there, obviously for get them enrichment stuff. Because that was like the only thing they really needed completing, other than their issue with stress from people watching them was the only other issue apart from enrichment. Okay, so there we're trying this kind of different way of approaching benches. I kind of used the flowers as a marker and kind of just went from there. You know, they're not perfect, and I don't even think I was trying to make them perfect at this point. I was just trying to get them down, honestly. I just wanted the area to look kind of serviceable. I should have put some food stalls in, but I kind of got carried away. Again, something to solve in the future. And then we decided to work on another enclosure, and this time we're actually going to go for an Australian animal. Because I don't want to, you know, clickbait you with an Australian video and then not have any Australian animals in it. So yeah, I think we went for Kangaroo, which is obviously really exciting to have. Yep, another, you know, relatively painless enclosure to build. Yeah, so we ended up making like this kind of social pack of female kangaroos, and so I kind of wanted to do a little bit different. I wanted to do half and half of the closure, so we did half with the window and half just normal wood to give it kind of the effect of like, so you could walk around the sides and kind of enjoy it from both angles, but also kind of let the light in, and we still had enough room for like a shelter, etc., and so on. There, as you can see, I finally learned how to use Align to Grid properly. Put the windows back in because they somehow disappeared. Yeah, and then we started searching for the kangaroos. There they are in all their glory, their Australian glory. Yeah, I think we ended up with 4. I probably too small an enclosure for 4, but we can always extend it out the back if we need to. I just wanted to kind of get something going to begin with. And then we got some educational stuff in because the inspector was kind of saying we didn't have enough education. And I try and make everything kind of make sense. So I kind of went for the deforestation thing. I know that's not necessarily in line with the park, but the other ones just didn't seem to make so much sense. Yep, so there's the third. I mean, I haven't even put there, I'm more concerned with getting the third kangaroo. Oh, there we go. There's the shelter I was just about to say. Yep, so they've got a shelter now. We need to get some food troughs down. There we go. I decided to go for like bigger versions just because, as we know, I was going to get a few of them. So I didn't want it to be a situation where, these animals were like feeding off one small plate. It just didn't make sense to the build. Yeah, so there's the fourth and final one. And I think that's about where we got to on stream. I did quite a small stream, admittedly, just because we ended up playing some other games on stream, which will probably come in a few videos soon. But yeah, there we go. There's the full thing. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did like this type of content, leave me a comment. Otherwise, share, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.